She stood quietly in the bank lobby, her clothes worn, her shoes frayed, her hair tucked beneath a faded scarf. To most people, she looked invisible, just another homeless woman seeking warmth on a cold morning. But beneath that tired exterior was a story that no one in that room could have imagined. The manager glanced at her with disgust, his voice sharp, his judgment instant. Seconds later, a slap echoed through the marble hall, a sound that would haunt him forever. Because the next morning, when the doors opened again and the same woman walked in wearing a tailored suit and a calm, commanding gaze, every soul in that building froze. What happens when power learns it misjudged humanity itself? Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Just a day before that unforgettable scene, Maya Williams was preparing for one of the most significant transitions of her life. After years of climbing the corporate ladder, she had been appointed as the new CEO of a regional banking network, a position she'd earned through resilience, vision, and grit. But she had chosen to visit one of the local branches quietly, without the usual entourage or formal introduction. Maya had grown up in this neighborhood. She knew what it felt like to be judged, to be underestimated, to be told you don't belong here. That memory never left her, and she often disguised herself during personal visits to gauge how customers were honestly treated. So, dressed in old clothes, she entered the branch she was soon to lead, not as a CEO, but as a test. She wanted to see how people like her, or like she once was, were treated when no title protected them. What she didn't expect was that her silent experiment would reveal something uglier than she imagined, a lesson not about policy, but about prejudice itself. The moment Maya stepped inside, the air shifted. The receptionist looked up and frowned, her smile fading as soon as she noticed the worn backpack and thrift store coat. She didn't greet her, didn't ask what she needed. She turned away. Maya quietly approached the counter and waited. A few minutes passed, then 10. Customers came and went. Still no one acknowledged her. She cleared her throat softly, trying to speak, but the manager, a tall man in a crisp gray suit, appeared and scowled. "Ma'am," he said sharply, though Maya hadn't said a word yet. "You can't loiter here. This is private property." Maya explained gently that she only wanted to speak about opening an account. Still, the words barely left her mouth before the manager snapped again, accusing her of begging, of wasting their time. The whispers began. A few customers looked over with pity, others with judgment. The humiliation thickened in the air. Maya's heart pounded, not with anger, but with a deep, familiar ache. Then it happened. The man reached out, grabbed her wrist, and shoved her toward the door. "We don't allow this here!" he barked. When she tried to steady herself, he struck her across the cheek, a quick, careless slap meant to assert dominance. Silence swallowed the room. Maya's eyes glistened, but she said nothing. She nodded, turned around, and walked out, her dignity intact, her silence deafening. What no one knew was that the cameras in that branch had captured every second. And by the next sunrise, those same cameras would expose a reckoning the entire company would never forget. The next morning, the staff gathered early for an announced leadership meeting. Rumor had it that the new CEO would visit this particular branch first, the same branch where the incident had happened the day before. The manager stood proudly near the entrance, straightening his tie, unaware that his arrogance was about to turn into horror. At precisely 9 o'clock, the doors opened. In walked a woman in a charcoal suit, heels clicking with quiet power. Her presence commanded attention. Calm, elegant, confident. Everyone turned to greet her. Everyone except the manager was frozen in place, his face drained of color. It was her, the same woman he had insulted, humiliated, and struck. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Their eyes met, his trembling with guilt, hers steady with purpose. Maya didn't need to raise her voice. Her silence spoke louder than any reprimand could. The regional board members followed her in, unaware of the tension. Then Maya introduced herself. "Maya Williams, your new CEO." Gasps filled the air. The manager's knees nearly buckled. The man who once believed himself powerful was now exposed before everyone, undone by his own prejudice. He tried to speak, but she said security footage doesn't lie. The manager was escorted out that same day, not because Maya sought revenge, but because justice demanded accountability. She addressed the staff, her voice steady but weighted with emotion. She reminded them that a bank's worth isn't measured by its numbers, but by how it treats the most invisible among us. The incident went viral after employees shared the footage internally, and it spread across social media within hours. But Maya didn't bask in the attention. She used the moment to launch a company-wide initiative, training programs focused on empathy, diversity, and respect. What had begun as a quiet act of observation became a movement that reshaped the entire organization's culture. And the man who thought her unworthy learned the most brutal truth. You never know who you're disrespecting, or who they might become. For Maya, that day wasn't about humiliation or revenge. It was about reclaiming dignity, not just for herself, but for everyone who'd ever been judged by the color of their skin or the clothes they wore. Racism doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through everyday arrogance until someone stands tall enough to make it seen. So, tell me, where are you watching for Take Care?